So over here we have understood that the load coming on the beam B1 is equal to the load coming on the beam B2. It is equal to the area or the contributory area of the respective slabs multiplied by the load intensity. In both the cases, it has come equal to 3.0625 multiplied by W, where W is the intensity, load intensity over the slab. Now let us look at the beam B3. Now over here, the portion which transfers the load to the beam B3, it is not triangular, but it is trapezoidal. The load transferred on the beam B3 is equal to the contributory area A3 multiplied by the load intensity over the slab. Now, the area of the trapezium A3 is equal to half into A1 plus A2. These are the two parallels multiplied by height. Now, the area of the trapezium A3, when we look at it in the figure, we get equal to half into A1, that is the length of the beam B3, and then further on we have the next one, that is A2. The A2 will be the length of the middle portion, small middle portion, horizontal, the parallel to the B3, that small portion. Now how do we calculate this? If we observe over here, the length in the longer dimension is 4 meters. The distance from the apex of the triangle A1 to its base was half of 3.5 meters. Similarly, the distance from the apex of A2 to its base was half of 3.5 meters. So, the total length is 4 meters minus half of 3.5 meters for the triangle A1, that is the distance from its apex to its base, and minus half of 3.5, that is the distance from the apex to the base for the triangle A2. So on the right hand side, when we see the calculations, area of the trapezium A3 is equal to half into, I've used a rectangular bracket. Look at the red color for the A1 formula which has been given on top. A1 has been replaced by length of the beam B3, then plus for A2, which is yellow in color, I've used a round bracket. Now A2 is the length of the beam B3 minus, it becomes half the length of B1 minus half the length of B2. Close the round bracket, close the square or rectangular bracket, multiplied by the height of the trapezium. So which comes down to area of the trapezium A3 equal to half into 4 plus into bracket 4 minus half of 3.5 minus half of 3.5 multiplied by the height. The height of this is equal to half of the length of B1. As we have seen, the horizontal line over here, the height from the apex of the trapezium to its base is equal to half the length of B1. Substituting that, we get area A3 is equal to half into 4.5 into half into 3.5. So area A3 is 3.9375 meters square. One thing which comes up over here is when we have looked at the formula on the right hand side, at the top, area of the trapezium A3 is equal to half into the rectangle, in the red we have written length of the beam B3. But when we look at the trapezium, the base is slightly more than the length of B3. Yes, the length of B3 will be slightly reduced than 4, but in the calculation we are directly taking it as 4, the clear longer dimension. Please note, the length of B3 will not be exactly 4, but it would be slightly lesser than 4. But in the first calculations, when we are calculating for the loads, this will not matter, because we would be getting the answers proper, because the length of the the length of the trapezium, the pink trapezium, is 4 meters of A1. Now coming to the bottom, over here, if the load intensity over the slab is W kilonewton per meter square, which we have taken right from the beginning, then the total load on the beam B3 will be the contributory area A3 multiplied by load intensity, that is 3.9375 meter square multiplied by W. Similarly, the load transfer on the beam B4 would be half into the length of the beam B4, which we are considering as 4 meters over here, which is the clear span, and that's the length of the trapezium A1, that is of the trapezium one side A1, then plus length of the beam B4 minus half the length of B1 minus half the length of B2 multiplied by height of trapezium. As in previous case, area of the trapezium A3 is equal to half into 4 plus the smaller portion over there, which comes to 4 meters minus half of 3.5 on one side and half of 3.5 on the other side, and the height is half of 3.5. So area of the trapezium A4 is 3.9375 meters square. So when the load intensity is W kilonewton per meter square, the total load coming on the beam B4 would be 3.9375 W. Now up to here we have understood what are the contributory areas and how the load from the slab is computed as coming on the beam. Whichever beam it may be, it takes the load from the slabs. So how much load is actually coming on a particular beam from that slab can be calculated this way. So we have calculated the loads coming on the beam B1, B2, B3, B4, the loads coming from the slabs. Now let us look at the beam itself. These beams B1, B2, B3 and B4 are rectangular in cross section, and they will be possessing their own self weight. The beam has same cross section throughout its span. We have kept the width of the beam equal to the width of the wall. Let us assume over here the depth of the beam as 500 mm. As told earlier regarding the columns, let me mention again, the cross-sectional dimensions of the beam may change later with design. The self-weight of the beam is calculated as the cross-section of the beam multiplied by the density of RCC. Now this would be the self-weight of the beam per meter of its span. If I consider any 1 meter length portion of the beam, then the self weight, its own weight, will be calculated as the cross section of the beam multiplied by the unit load, or what we understand it as density of RCC. The IS code tells us that when it is RCC, the density of RCC is to be taken as 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So looking at the beam over here, the beam element is 230 mm, which is assumed as the wall thickness. The depth of the beam is 500 mm. Taking into consideration 1 meter length portion, the self weight of the beam B1 would be the width B multiplied by D, that's its overall depth, multiplied by density or unit weight of RCC. So self weight of B1 is equal to 0.23 multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by 25, which gives me that equal to 2.875 kilonewton per meter. Since the cross sections of all the beams are assumed to be same, the unit load or the self weight of all the four beams will be equal to 2.875 kilonewton per meter. All beams B1, B2, B3 and B4 will have the self weight as 2.875 kilonewton per meter. Now what is the total load coming on the beam? The total load coming on the beam will be due to the effects of the load intensity coming from the slab and its own self weight. On the beam B1, we find that it is triangular. So the load coming on the beam B1 is triangular due to that portion of the slab. It is having maximum intensity at the midpoint and minimum at the corners, and due to its own self weight, it is a UDL. So having known these two loads, by using the principles of mechanics, we find the reactions. Notice the beam B1 is supported on the columns C1 and C2. At the bottom it is shown over here, the beam B1 is supported on the column C1 and C2. So diagrammatically we see the beam B1 supported on columns C1 and C2. The reactions found from the beam B1 due to the loading from the slab and its UDL or self weight, the reactions will be contributing to the load of column support C1 as well as C2. So finding the reactions from B1, we get the loads or we get the reactions on column C1 and C2. Similarly, beam B2 also has the triangular load coming from the slab and its own UDL. When we solve this for the reactions, we will be getting the reactions to the column support C3 and C4. These are the vertical loads going on into the columns C3 and C4. Proceeding further, for the next type of beam, that is B3, on B3 we have the load coming from the slab as a trapezoid. Now over here, the load from the slab is coming as a trapezoidal load or gradually increasing load till a certain point, then it becomes a UDL in between, and then it becomes gradually decreasing load, and its self weight is a UDL. Solving this, we get the reactions which become the load for column C3 and column C1. So B3 beam gives the reactions to C3 and C1, and beam B4 in a similar manner gives the reactions to the column C4 and column C2. So having solved all these four, we get the loads on the columns C1, C2, C3, C4 in horizontal in the other direction, perpendicular to horizontal direction. So the load on column C1 would be the reaction it has received from the beam B1 as well as the reaction it has received from the beam B3. Both these reactions added give me the load on the column C1. The load on the column C2 is equal to the reaction from beam B1 and the reaction it has received from the beam B4. Adding these two, we get the load on the column C2. Load on the column C3 is the reaction from the beam B2 plus the reaction from the beam B3. And similarly, the load on the column C4 is the sum of the reactions from the beam B2 and that from beam B4. Now reactions taken from the beams in both the directions have to be taken. Now the reactions from the beam B4, considering both the loads are vertical loads on the respective columns C4, C2 as discussed earlier. Now having understood this, having understood the various loads, how they are coming on the column C1, C2, C3 and C4, then we take the loads and we design the columns, and these are the loads which will be getting transferred onto the foundations below. Let us look at another project, project 2. In this case, suppose we have 3 rooms. As I said earlier, study the plan properly. All the 3 rooms have same dimension, and we are supposed to design the horizontal RCC roof slab with a RCC framed structure. How would be the contributory areas in this case? Would it be like this, where we have 3.5 meter side, we would be getting a triangle, and where we have a 4 meter side, we would get the contributory area as a trapezium. Like the way we have done the calculations before, over here also the calculations could be done. Only note one thing, when we are looking at the beam FB3, when we are looking at the beam FB3, we find that the loads from 2 slabs as 2 triangles go on the beam FB3, but the self weight is only once its own. So the difference between the previous one and this one, the previous project and this project, is the load on FB1 remains the same. As we come down, when we are looking at the beam FB3, in this case, it has the contributions from the slabs on its either sides. So the load coming on the beam from the slab will be as a result of S1 and S3, and its self weight will be only due to FB3. Similar case we find with the beam FB9. The loads coming from the slabs would be due to slab S1 and S2. Slab S1 as a trapezium will also contribute to FB9. Slab S2 also will contribute to FB9 as a trapezium. So the load coming on FB9 will be because of the slabs S1 and S2 and its own self weight. I wish to bring to your notice another thing. Look at the way the columns have been named. It starts from the top left corner, C1, C2, C3. Once the horizontal line is over, we move to the next horizontal line with C4, C5, C6, then the next horizontal line. Similarly, for the beams, we have the first horizontal row with FB1, FB2 starting from the top left corner. Once that row is over, we shift down to FB3, FB4, then down to FB5. Since all this is exhausted, we turn our angle towards 90 degrees, have FB6, FB7, FB8, FB9, FB10. Also note that the slabs have been named as S1, S2 and S3. Now over here we have 4 rooms in plan, clear dimensions as shown. Again over here we take how to design a RCC framed structure for these four roomed structure. What would be the contributory areas? Would it be like this? Notice over here there are beams FB, FB3, FB4 getting loads from either sides from the slabs. Similarly, FB9 and FB10 getting from either sides of the slabs, plus they individually would be having their own self weight. Notice the numbering or naming of the columns, the beams and the slabs. Thank you.